Y'all know what time it is. Detroit basketball. Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. What a game, man. This game was wild. This game was wild. If you guys watched this, for anybody who missed this game, I feel sorry for you. This was a crazy game, back and forth game. You think the Pistons are going to win this game? You think they're going to lose the game? Think they're going to come back? Think Miami's going to steal it? This game was crazy. The Pistons are gluttons for punishment, man. Pistons should have put this game away early, man. But let's get to it. Let's get to it, man. So the Pistons tonight, they beat Miami for the second straight time to move to 11-16 on the season. Man, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with this. Okay, so tonight Jaden was out. He was a late scratch tonight with left knee pain. Tobias was out. So Beasley and Asar, they got the starts tonight for those two. Isaiah Stewart left this game in the first half. He hyperextended his knee. So prayers up to Stu. But you could tell right away when he went down, it was something serious. Because if you know Stu, he's not just going to go down for any reason. He's not a flopper. So for him to go down, you could tell something was wrong. And it ended up being a hyperextended knee. So hopefully he's okay and he won't have to miss extended time and his knee's okay. Initial thoughts, man. I don't even know where to start. Like I told you, I don't even know where to start, man. This game was insane. Okay, let's start with the first half. So the Pistons controlled the first half. They controlled the first half. They came out gunning, right? We always talk about getting up to good starts, hitting first. They did that tonight to the point where Miami was the one calling the timeout in the first quarter early. So that was good to see that. It was good to see everybody engaged. All five guys were playing hard, tough-nosed defense to start the game. They were moving the ball offensively, all the things you want to see, right? They were crisp with their passing. They were crisp with their movements. They were crisp in the pick and roll. All the things you want to see that contribute to a good start, they were pretty much doing all those things. And they just really controlled the game in the first half. Every time the Heat would try to threaten, the Pistons would respond. The Heat would threaten, the Pistons would respond every time. And for most of the game, it was a double-digit lead. But this really was a tale of two halves, man. The first half was the epitome of 3-and-D. As a team, defensively, bodies were flying around. Guys were understanding who needs to rotate when the Heat would pass out of a double team. And for the most part, they held the Heat to one shot. JD did a good job tonight of really just keeping guys outside of the paint and holding them to one shot. So that was good to see from him as well. The ball movement was great tonight. They were playing unselfish. They were swinging it. They weren't worried about their shot selection. They were just hunting the best shot. So they were playing good team, selfless basketball in that first half. They were hot in the first half, man. They shot 10 to 15 from three. And 60% overall in that first half. But that's when things started to turn. They got really relaxed in that second half, man. I say it all the time. The Pistons need to work on playing 4 quarters, right? Playing the same way for 4 quarters. Not 3 quarters, not 2 quarters. Not getting off to a great start and fading late. Not getting off to a slow start and trying to come back and claw your way back into a game late. 48 minutes, right? That's how you control a basketball game. 48 minutes. Don't allow teams to get back into the game. When you have them down, put your foot on their neck and put them away. Play as if you're down by the amount that you're up, right? But that's what happens with young teams. We talked about it all season. The Pistons are going to show flashes. They're going to show flashes of good and bad. It's not going to be a lot of consistency early in the season, and that's where we are, right? We are seeing the potential with this team, but we're also going through the growing pains of them learning how to play complete basketball games and having the same sense of urgency all game long. To Miami's credit, they did pick it up in the second half. Their defensive intensity really picked up. They got a lot more physical. They were making more shots. So it really was a tale of two halves. But even with that, the Pistons still should have put them away in that second half. So midway through the third quarter, right, you could feel the Heat slowly just cutting into the lead, right? It went from 14 to 12 to 10. Then they got it under double digits. Once they got it under double digits, I got concerned. With about 4 or 5 minutes left, it got under double digits. Mentally, when you get it under 10, that's when, as the team that's trailing, you get confidence. And the team that is up starts to lose a little bit of confidence and starts to get a little bit tight. Something about that double-digit mark can change the game. So once the Heat got it under 10, you could just feel the momentum kind of swinging their way and going in their favor. The Pistons were missing shots. The Heat were making shots. The Pistons weren't playing as tough defensively. They weren't playing on a string. The Heat were. You could just feel the momentum just shifting. And down the stretch, the Pistons kept turning the ball over. They kept turning the ball over. Cade played an amazing game overall tonight, and he's one of the biggest reasons why we won. And we're going to get to all that, trust me. But late in games when they crowd him, he just has to be a little bit more alert. because it's too often when he gets crowded, he coughs the ball up, right? So that's something he's going to have to work on and continue to get better at. That's happened a few times this season. We've seen it happen down the stretch, right? So we want him to continue to work on that, right? He has to continue to work on just being more alert, keeping his head up. You know he wants to go one-on-one because he has the mismatch most times, but when the crowd comes, you have to be ready to move it a little bit sooner than you normally would because they're coming with more urgency and aggression. So he's got to be more careful with the basketball late. That's all I'm going to say negatively about K's game tonight, because for the most part, he played an amazing game, and we're going to get to that later. So continuing with the game, right? The Pistons had the Heat down 3. Heat ball. Tyler Hero throws up a prayer, and of course it goes in. Again. Can't stand Tyler Hero. Game goes overtime. And once it went to overtime, I felt like this was going to be a game we could lose. Because once you get it to overtime, it's 0-0. And now it's just about possessions. It's just about possessions. Who can out-execute the other team for 5 minutes? And normally that favors the team that has been together longer. That favors the team that has more veterans. That favors a team that has Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, who have been to the finals together. It favors that team, not a young team who's just 26, 27 something games into the season learning how to play together. So when it went to overtime, I was concerned. And I was right to be, because the Heat went on an 8-0 run to start overtime, capping a 24-2 Heat run going back into the fourth quarter. Game over, right? Down 8 with a few minutes to go. Pistons haven't been in this situation too often together. Do they have the patience to take their time and execute offensively? Forget all that. What happened was Tim Hardaway made 3 straight threes in a row. That's what happened. Back to back Tim Hardaway 3-pointers. And it was crazy because he didn't even have a going tonight offensively. What he was doing was taking charges all night, setting the tone defensively, which I give him credit for, right? That was what he was doing for most of the night. That was where his impact was felt for most of his game. But we all know, man, sometimes with Timmy, it's hot and cold. When he's cold, he's frigid. But when he's hot, it's 2K. So he was hot. He got hot. He saw one go in, and Cade found him every time, right? Cade knows he's a rhythm player. So once Tim saw one fall, Cade went to him, and he went to him. And Tim rose and knocked them down. Next possession down, the Heat, off of a missed shot, Jimmy Butler somehow gets around Jalen Duren and over the top of him and times a weirdly and perfectly times an awkward miss and gets the rebound and gets the putback. It wasn't even JD's fault because JD had him sealed. Jimmy just went over the top, took a gamble, and he timed it perfectly off of a weird bounce, off of a weird, it was just weird. But that's Jimmy Butler though, right? Like, he makes those plays. He makes those unorthodox plays. That's just what he does. Heat go back up 1. Next play down, Cade comes down and hits a nice runner off the glass to put the Pistons back up 1. And I was so glad to see him respond like that, because he's gotten a lot of flack about not showing up late in games, coughing up games, whatever you want to call it. And to see him respond that way was big. I was happy to see him want the ball, go and get the bucket, put us back up 1. The Pistons almost gave this game away. Tim Hardaway threw the ball away. After knocking those threes down, he threw the ball away. And an inbound pass wasn't anywhere near close to, I think it was Beasley that was there. And Tyler Hero recovered and made 2 free throws. This was just a crazy back and forth game, man. But after that K bucket, the Pistons out on timeout got a stop on a Tyler Hero 3. Shout out to Jalen Duren for contesting that shot. And they won the game 125-124. 125-124. So let me say this. I know that one thing that drives fans crazy right now, and understandably so, is the Pistons fading late in games, right? We've seen it happen too many times this year. Like I mentioned all the time, the Pistons have lost a total of 2 games to the Hornets this season by a combined 3 points, right? And that's just one small sample size. So we know, we've dealt with it, we've seen it, we felt it. And tonight it happened again. They coughed the lead up. But more times than not this season, the Pistons have not won a lot of those games. But what was good to see tonight was the Pistons' response, right? It shouldn't have even got close to overtime. It did. The Pistons shouldn't have went down 8 points in overtime. They did. But they found a way to get the win. I was very much so expecting to come to you guys very disappointed after a loss tonight. But the Pistons responded. This young team responded. And that's all you want to see. That's growth. That's growth from a young basketball team, right? That's what you want to see. The fight. They continue to fight. They continue to claw. They continue to lick their self-inflicted wounds at times, right? So the point is that it was good to see them get a win in this situation. We talk about many of the big games that Cade has had this year. A lot of them have been in losses. So for him to get a dub with this type of performance tonight goes a long way to the growth of this young basketball team. Let's get to the box. Let's start with Cade, man. Cade had 20 points, 18 assists, 11 rebounds on 7-17 shooting, 3-6 from 3, 3-5 from the free throw line, 4 turnovers in 42 minutes, more than anybody else tonight. So we talked about the turnovers lead, right? I get it. But bro, he had 18 assists to 4 turnovers. So without those turnovers late in the game, it was more so like at that point, 16-2, 16-1. He's really blossoming before our eyes, ladies and gentlemen. He's really starting to become the guy that we thought he was going to be, man. He didn't play a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. Nobody did. But like Eric Spoelstra said in the pregame interviews, the turnovers with Cade can be a little bit deceiving sometimes. Anytime you are a high usage player, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, right? A lot of these high usage players, Jason Tatum, high usage players, they have high turnover numbers. And some of those guys are not the primary ball handlers for their teams, like Cade is, like Luka is. When your usage is as high as it is, you're going to have turnovers. And some of them are not going to be your fault. You have turnovers where, where your teammate wasn't ready when he was supposed to be. Maybe you're trying to get to the basket and you get called for a charge. Like, those are turnovers too. So for him to only have 4 and have 18 assists, we always talk about the assist to turnover ratio, right? 18-4, that's better than 4-1. 4, 8, 12, 16, 18. That's better than 4-1. That is stellar. 3-1 is good. 2-1 is solid. 2-1 is pretty much your floor. You never want to go less than 2-1 as a point guard. But 4-1, that's very good. In a triple-double effort. Again, like he had tonight. His 6th triple-double of the season. The boy's balling, man. He's playing really, really well right now. What I saw from him tonight, though, he was aggressive offensively. He was very deliberate, looking for his offense and working out of that instead of just solely trying to get everybody else involved early, right? At his size, he has to do that. He has to be aggressive because every night, for the most part, he's going to have a size advantage. And tonight, he was getting 2 feet in the paint and reacting to the defense and making the right decisions. And once that happened, you saw his confidence starting to grow and his rhythm really started to pick up. And he started dancing on the perimeter and knocking down threes over Bam Adebayo. Like he was doing everything tonight, man. He really played a really good game, a really good floor game, especially in that first half. We know late he struggled a little bit, but in that first half, he was just in control of the game. And defensively, he's continued to be very, very good. He's one of the best paint defenders at his size in the league. So he really is becoming a two-way player before our eyes. And when you have to exert that much energy defensively and you still have an 18-4 turnover ratio, come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. He was perfectly balancing his scoring and facilitating tonight. And to me, with my eyes, it looked like he's beginning to understand the player that he's going to be at his peak. And he's starting to work towards that. The game has really started to slow down for him. He made everything look easy, especially in that first half. I mean, he was making all the right decisions out of the pick and roll, whether it was finding JD or finding an open shooter, or whether it was on a break, keeping his head up and finding Ron Holland or Sar Thompson on a break. He was the stirrer to the drink tonight. All he has to work on are those late game turnovers. That's literally it. Once he's able to get that under control, he's going to be a superstar level player if he keeps this up. Malik Mother effing Beasley, leading scorer tonight, 28 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 block. 2 turnovers on 9 of 18 shooting, 7 of 13 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line in 41 minutes. Another efficient, high-scoring game from Malik Beasley. This dude is becoming instant offense for this team. Whether he's starting or whether he's coming off the bench. Everybody always asks me, should he start instead of THJ? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because neither one of those guys are great defenders, so you're not going to gain or lose much on that side of the ball. And offensively, they do a lot of the same things. And Beasley has shown whether he's starting or whether he's coming off the bench, because he's done both this season, he's producing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you put him. I said it before, I'll say it again. Malik Beasley is headed to the three-point shooting contest this year, guys. Because once again, he shot better than 50% from 3. 7 for 13. The percentage that he's shooting at and the volume that he's getting up is what's going to get him to the three-point shooting contest, in my opinion. Especially if the Pistons keep winning games, even just at this pace. And I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it. So keep an eye on that. And he, in my opinion, has been the most important offseason signing. What he brings to this team on and off the court, man, the confidence he instills in guys, all the way down to social media. Like, he spends time playing COD with these guys as the old vet. He's old enough to be a veteran, but still young enough to be current and hip to what's going on. So that's why I really think he is such an important signing, because he's a perfect bridge to that gap. Sar Thompson, in his return, had 19 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 steals, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 8 for 14 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3-point, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. Okay, Pistons fans, we gotta talk for a second. The Pistons got some decisions to make. And one of them needs to be, in my opinion, moving Asar Thompson to the starting lineup. I don't care that he has a minutes restriction. I don't care if you play him 3 minutes, the first 3 minutes of the game, or the first 30 seconds of the game. In either situation, he's going to make an impact. One thing I always talk about is having tone setters on this team, and that's why I love Isaiah Stewart. Asar Thompson, in a different way, is a tone setter. He came in tonight, man, and he made defensive plays from jump. The Heat, on the first play of the game, tried to go to an alley-oop with Bam Adebayo. Asar Thompson breaks it up, recovers the ball, and is leading the break down the court. First play of the game. And even though he showed a little bit of rust tonight, because we got to keep in mind, he hasn't played consistent basketball in over 8 months, right? He missed a couple easy shots tonight, and you could tell he was just moving a little bit too quick. His timing was off, his rhythm was off. And even with all of that, he needs to start. He needs to start. As I said earlier, the Pistons need to work on getting off to good starts consistently. He's one of those guys that can do that for you. He can help you get off to a good start because he can lead a one-man break. He can turn defense into offense. He can guard your best player. He can do all the things that help you get off to a good start. And more than anything, the energy is going to be there. Tonight, the Heat were the ones that had to call that early timeout in the first quarter instead of the Pistons. And it's because of the defensive intensity to start the game. And a big part of that was Asar Thompson. His ability, man, to just be able to take the ball off the rim and push the ball and get in transition with his speed, it puts so much pressure on the defense. It makes it hard for defenses to get set. So I like Tobias Harris. He's been a touch underwhelming for me this season, but he's been solid. I like Tim Hardaway Jr. I just raved about him. We don't win this game tonight without him. But one of them needs to go to the bench for Asar. Asar's too valuable, man. He provides so many things for you in a basketball court. From taking pressure off of Cade, to helping the bigs on the boards, to masking defensive mistakes. I mean, he's just a Swiss Army knife. He has to start. So question to you Pistons fans. If you were JB Bickerstaff, would you start Asar Thompson at all? And if so, who would you start him in favor of? Let me know. Jalen Duren had 9 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 5 turnovers on 4 of 7 shooting, 1 for 1 from the free throw line in 32 minutes. So I know the points look underwhelming. I know the shot volume looks underwhelming. But JD played well tonight. JD made some mistakes tonight, right? Trying to handle the ball when he should get it to our guards. I mentioned that before, right? We need to make sure that our guards are bringing the ball up court, right? We've had too many backcourt turnovers, too many self-inflicted turnovers that we just need to kind of clean up. And I think a big part of that is just putting the ball in your guard's hands and letting them do what they do. And tonight he had a few more of those, right? He was trying to make a play to the basket. He was trying to do the fake dribble handoff and then they shoot to the basket like Draymond Green does, things like that. Like, no, we don't need that. We need you to set screens for now and roll to the basket, right? Set good screens, roll to the basket. Everything else will come later. Let's work out of that first. And tonight, those turnovers really hurt us a little bit down the stretch, but not too much to where we lost the game. Aside from that, what I'm looking at is 16 rebounds. That's a grown man rebounding count. Just owning the paint. Defending the paint. Defensively, the effort was there tonight. It looks like he's buying in to the team. Not that he wasn't before, but tonight he just seemed to have a different level of enthusiasm about him when he was playing tonight, right? He seemed like he was really taking pride in just defending that paint. And he wasn't perfect, right? He had a couple missed assignments, but the effort was there. And you could see he's slowly improving, right? I don't want to see 5 turnovers from our center, right? That means the ball's in your hand too much. But other than that, the effort was there. He made some great plays on Bam Adebayo individually, just one-on-one, turning him over. He contested on some shots, especially the one late on Tyler Hero at the end of the game, which probably altered the shot and as a result, finished the game off for us. The effort was there, man. And of course, the pick and roll with him and Cade, his bread and butter, was on full display tonight. It seems like he and Cade are figuring out that pick and roll timing. Because early in the season, you would see him so often, you would either see him get an offensive foul because the timing isn't there, Cade didn't give him enough time, or he didn't set in time, or you would see him set a very soft screen because he's afraid of getting the offensive foul because he hasn't gotten that time down with Cade yet. But tonight, that pick and roll was deliberate, right? He was setting, he was planting, he wasn't moving. Cade was giving him enough time to create that space for him. JD was rolling, and it looked good. Still not Stu level, but it looked solid. The communication as a team was there tonight too, and you could hear JD a part of it. There was a play where you could hear Cade saying to JD after a shot went up for a miss, he would say, JD board, and JD replied, I got it. So the communication is starting to build as well. And that's very, very important, especially for a team that wants to play defense on a string. As a point guard, that's really important because your center can be your eyes for you. Your center can let you know when the screen is coming. So that way you guys can work together on how to defend that possession, right? Those things are really, really important. So to hear them communicating now on the basketball court, that's going to go a very long way. Think of guys like Rasheed Wallace. Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace, that's what they did. They quarterbacked that defense. For Jalen Duren, that's going to be a big part of his growth too. It's just quarterbacking that defense and just getting in the habit of being vocal and staying vocal on both ends of the floor. But JD, man, I got to say this. The foul trouble, man. The foul trouble. Every time he would get into a rhythm, he would get called for fouls at very inopportune times, and that would make it hard for him to stay in the rhythm that he would establish early in the game. It reminds me a lot of a guy by the name of Andre Drummond, right? Andre Drummond, when he played for the Pistons, he would get off to great starts. 5 points and 4 boards with 2 steals in the first 3 minutes of the game. And he'd pick up a second foul. Gotta go sit, right? It happens so often. It would be so frustrating because you could just see he was on his way to a huge night, 20-20-5 night, right? And now he's got to sit midway through the second quarter because he's picked his second foul up. So I just want to see him continue to work on that. Another thing too, with JD, I want to see is whenever he gets fouled, he goes like this, right? I see it all the time, and I know he's getting fouled. I know he's getting hacked. I know all these guys are getting hacked. Kate was blocking a little bit tonight too, but JD is starting to become a habit. We're seeing like every time he gets fouled, he goes like this, and I don't want to see that because you don't want to cry wolf all the time. To where sometimes if you get fouled and you never react like that, when you do, you might get that call. You might get a late call. You might get a call that you really don't deserve, right? But when you're doing it every time, you're crying wolf, and you're not helping your teammates because defensively you could be getting down the court and manning that paint and anchoring that defense, right? So instead of doing this, I know you're getting fouled, bro, but just play through it. Play through it. Act as if there is no whistle. Act like you're playing street ball, to where if you get fouled, you get your own rebound and go for a dunk anyway, because that's going to go a long way to earning respect around the league because you're not looking for a whistle. Sometimes when you look for a whistle, you miss a shot because you're not even thinking about the possession. You're thinking about the foul. So I'm not saying he's doing that because I know he's getting fouled. You can hear the slaps, right? But play through it, bro. They'll come. You know what I mean? Play through it. Make your presence felt in the paint to where they have to call it, like you did when you bodied Kevin Love, when you positioned yourself in the paint, anchored yourself in the paint, and got that dunk. Then let him have it. Continue to do that instead of this. You do that, you'll do less of this because you start getting more foul calls because you will earn your respect. But aside from that, I liked what I saw from him tonight, man. I just want to see that consistency from him, fully committed to playing defense, and whatever you get offensively is a bonus. That's how you grow into being the defensive anchor that this team is going to need long term. And I think he can be that. I really do. So we talked about Tim Hardaway Jr., right? He finished with 16 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, of 5-11 from the field, 5 of 10 from 3. So all of his shots but 1 were 3-pointers. And I'm okay with that. 1 or 2 from the free throw line. So Tim played a solid game, man. Like, I got to give him credit. I think Tim's biggest contribution to this team so far, aside from tonight, because we lose this game without him, is his willingness to give his body up. He had 2 more charges tonight. Should have been 3. We know he got hit in the head pretty hard earlier this season, right? And he had to miss a few games. The play he got hurt on, he was giving up his body, trying to take a charge. Missed a few games because of it. Had a big gash on his head. He comes right back and gets right back to it. Right back in the paint, taking charge. Like, he's fearless, man. One thing I can say about Tim Hardaway Jr. is he's a team player. And that is very important as a vet. That is what leading by example means. And for him to do it defensively, when he's known to be a better offensive player than defensive player, that goes a long way for your basketball team. When you set that example in that way, after you've already been hurt by doing the same thing, you're going to play tough defense no matter what. That's what that says. I'm going to play tough defense no matter what. If I'm on the court, I'm going to play tough defense, period. And that's what he has done for this team. And now you're seeing other guys start to really give their bodies up. So I think that's been his biggest contribution all season long. It's just his willingness to just play hard and give his body up. All out effort defensively for the team. And once again, whatever you get offensively is a bonus. So let's get to the bench. Simone Fontecchio had 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 of 6 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. So he played a solid game. I always say it. If he has to put the ball on the floor, pass it. If you can catch and shoot, shoot it. But aside from that, he played hard. He gave all effort defensively, and he gave you a little bit of scoring. Marcus Sasser had 6 points, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 2 of 4 shooting from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. in 21 minutes. Sasser's been playing well, man. I have to give him credit. He has really been doing his thing lately. I think Sasser may need a few more minutes because he is the epitome of staying ready so you don't have to get ready. Every time he's coming to the game for the most part this season, he's made an impact in a positive way, right? Whether it's giving us needed scoring, whether it's playing tough, scrappy defense, which he did again tonight, turning Tyler Hero over, stealing the ball from him, throwing his body on the floor, getting the ball to Ron Holland for an easy play, for an easy dunk. Like he's just doing the little things as well as giving us scoring. We know he's got a bag offensively, but for him to buy in as well, and that's the thing, we're seeing across the board, these guys are buying into defense. That's very, very important to see that across the board, from your starters to your bench guys, and he's embodying that as well. So I think because of that, he needs to be given another look and possibly more minutes going forward. Ron Holland had 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 steal, 3 of 5 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. So Ron knocked down his only 3 again tonight. And he's starting to find his way, guys. He's starting to find his way. His jump shot looks very, very good. And now he's knocking more and more of them down. I think he doesn't feel any pressure when he's shooting them. He's just getting them up. But the thing is, he's not taking a ton, right? 1 of 1, 1 of 2, 1 of 3. I'm okay with that. But when you're going 1 for 6, 1 for 7, it's time to move the ball. And he's been doing a much better job of that. Early this season, he was just quick trigger, just shooting. And I love the confidence, but not to the point of where it's hurting your team, right? So he's getting much better with his shot selection. His other 4 shots were pretty much in transition. And that's where he's going to live, right? He turns defense into offense very well. And I think that's going to be his bread and butter. But it's good to see that his shot is slowly starting to come along now along the way. Paul Reed, who was waived and then returned, had 6 points, 2 rebounds on 2 of 4 shooting, 2 of 2 from the free throw line in 12 minutes. So Paul Reed gave us some solid minutes. He didn't play a ton, but he gave us some scoring when we needed it, right? And he was efficient tonight. 50% from the field, didn't miss any free throws. Solid game from Paul Reed. And with Isaiah Stewart going down, we needed somebody else to man the paint, and he did a good job of that. So I have to give him credit for that. Shout out to Paul Reed. Good to have you back, bro. So tonight, I would just say that we got a glimpse of what this team potentially is going to look like in the future. That first half, tough physical defense and effort. No shortcuts, playing the right way. I think the future is very bright for this team. Even though we have not put it together yet, and we have a long way to go towards doing that, I think some of the pieces are slowly starting to come together for this team. Now it's just a matter of putting it together for full games and not allowing the scoreboard to affect your play. By the way, Bobby Klintman got his first action of the season with the Motor City Cruise. And guys, I cannot wait to watch him play basketball again. Sneak peek, I just checked my phone and I saw a play where he made somebody touch earth tonight before he threw down a dunk. Guys, I'm really excited about Bobby Klintman, man. We've already talked about how the starting lineup is at some point is going to change with Asar, right? Maybe even Ron too. And I think at some point we're going to have that same conversation again once Bobby Klintman gets his feet under him. I really do. We'll talk more about that later. So what did y'all see in tonight's game that I missed? It was a lot. So let me know in the comments and let's talk about it. Appreciate you hanging with your boy. And as always, Detroit versus everybody. Peace.
Rewind 2021. There was a parade in my city. Number 1 pick, dancing in the street. Everybody was hitting the gritty. Kate arrived in the D, and it was live as can be. They can ball, but we didn't want Green, Mobley, or Scotty B. No, when he got hurt, everyone lost it. Storylines leaking, no faucet. Caught him washed when he broke his tibia. All the haters, time to get it ready, yeah. Everybody wanna be Skip Bayless. Wanna throw shade, okay, say less. Dudes went number 1 for a reason. It'll click by the end of the season. When he wins most improved player. Gonna be a movie, here's the trailer. Don't say I didn't try to warn ya. Co-signed by Wim Benyama.
Kate Cunningham.
He was raised a Texan, but now he's Detroit flexing. Team USA, he was killing them. Got him effed up, let me quote Eminem. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. That's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Kate. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. That's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Kate. Forgot about Kate, they forgot about Kate. Forgot about how you forget about Kate.